9 out of 10 coming into this game, just hoping to salvage something, maybe get an NIT bid at the end of the season as well. We're underway. Good crowd here inside Castle. Clemson controlling the opening tip. In the corner, here's Amir Sims. Wow, he hits a three already. 6'9" guy who can take it outside and hit the three. And Coach Young, and speaking with him before the game, Chris, he said, everything in this offense goes through Amir Sims. We got to shut him down.
And evidently, he's not a Metallica fan. Enter Sandman, raucous to start the game. Amir Sims shut it down.
Wasn't intimidated by it at all. Here's what Clemson's got starting in their starting five. You see Sims, John Newman, Tevin Mack. All Amir Dawes and Clyde Trapp, the two young backcourt mates, make it go. Here's Trapp for three, banks it in. Couple of threes.
Yeah. Well, these two teams, Chris, have a lot in common. First of all, they both shoot a lot of threes. They both play undersized front courts, and they're going to pack it in defensively. There's a lot of similarities in the way in which both these teams operate.
Landers Nolly, one of 6 freshmen to get a lot of playing time for Coach Young, doesn't get the shooter's role. 2 redshirt freshmen, 4 true freshmen for Coach Young. This team has hit a little bit of that freshman wall in February. Sims again. This time he fakes the three, tries to work down low. To Sear Mack for three. He hits.
Well, they shoot a lot of them. They haven't necessarily shot a high percentage. Only about 32% as a team on the year. But this is where this Clemson team, especially on the offensive end, is really starting to feel itself, playing with a lot of confidence.
Tevin Mack just a 29% three-point shooter. That one way off the mark from P.J. Horn. Mack again for three. That one just bouncing out. Tyrese Radford, redshirt freshman from Baton Rouge, number 23. Here's Landers Nolly. He's a redshirt freshman as well, but he walked.
You know, these two big guys for Clemson are so tough to defend because they can put you on the block and post you, but they can also face up. Tevin Mack right there, a nice little Euro pitch back by John Newman.
Clemson 3 threes here in the early going. John Newman right here with the ball fake, couple of them. Now he takes the mid-range jumper. Horn is there with the rebound.
Landers Nolly so good in the first matchup, which seems like light years ago.
Doesn't seem like light years ago. It was November 5th. Naeem Aline, another one of those freshmen with the three for Virginia Tech.
But Nolly had 30 in that first matchup. He has come back down to earth here in the second half of conference play.
Nolly a starter pretty much all year. Coach Young having him coming off the bench the last 2 games, back in the starting lineup tonight, along with P.J. Horn, who just tipped that rebound to Beatty.
Oh, man.
That's going to be an offensive foul on Tyrese Radford.
Oh, and Clemson aggressive off the ball screen. They're staying with the ball, 2 guys. P.J. Horn was wide open on the roll. I mean, wide open. And then a nice job slide. Well, to me, that's a block. You know, I have not liked that call all year. It frustrates the heck out of me. That's a block. He is sliding into position, and because we're allowing that to happen, because we're allowing the defender to move laterally, he was not in legal guarding position. That's a block.
Alex Hemingway now in the game for Coach Brownell. And we'll go the other way. A couple of offensive fouls in consecutive possessions.
You understand what I'm saying, and I've vented to you all year about this.
I've been hearing it, and I've been watching it.
I mean, it's just, you know, it's frustrating, and it's now put the advantage on the defense. It's given the defense the advantage in that situation, and it's led to more charges that should not be called charges.
Clemson player hits the deck. Radford's going to drive, take a shot, rims out, but he was fouled on the play by Alex Hemingway.
You know, in that game over the weekend against Florida State made 10 of their first 11 shots. I mean, got off to just really a hot start. And then Clemson buckled down defensively, and really down the stretch of that game were outstanding on that end. Brad Brownell today wanting to get off to a better start, especially on the road. Clemson has not played well on the road this year.
Tyrese Radford hitting the first and now the second of two. He'll take a quick break. Hunter Couture, freshman from Orlando, Florida. Bishop Moore High School coming in to give Radford a breather. Hemingway's their best shooter. Over to Sims at 6'9". He can shoot it too. Steal. Nolly looking for the three-point shooter. Cone just off the back rim. Cone can light it up off the bench. He's instant offense. Number 15 for Virginia Tech. Missed that three. Now on the other end, it's Dawes, a little bit too strong. Sims is open off the front of the rim. And a walk. Clearly, Aline took too many steps. We get to our first timeout of the game. Both teams hot shooting at first, cooled down just a bit. Clemson up 2. ACC Network Basketball brought to you by Zaxby's. Hand-breaded chicken and fresh ingredients made to order. Only at Zaxby's. They've cooled down a little bit from distance. Hokies now getting back into it. Newman tried to get it inside to Sims. Ball bounces around. Sims gets it back to Newman. Newman will look to drive. Couture, really quick hands on that steal. Cone with the big man Sims on him. They go down low to Ojiako. He traveled.
And that's where you're okay, Clemson, switching out with Sims on the cone. You'd rather take the three away and then invite Ojiako on the post against a smaller player. He's just not there offensively yet, Ojiako.
Freshman out of Nigeria. Played his high school ball in Kentucky, Florida. Just really learning the game when you think about it.
Well, so are you.
You're right. You never stop learning. Alamir Dawes with the miss, the hero from last week's game against Florida State. Clemson is now cold shooting after hitting 3 threes right off the bat. 0 for 6 now on this little run. Nolly just trying to back his defender down. Does, but then puts up an air ball. Newman driving, back out. We get a call. He'll be on the floor. Don't forget, Sunday night on the ACC Network, catch the ACC Wrestling Championship from Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock. 4 teams in the ACC now in the top 10 in the country. Really strong wrestling conference this year in the ACC Championship coming up from Pittsburgh. Chris, these teams started off so hot, neither one of them can throw it in the ocean now. Cone can change things, usually from distance. Now he drives, he gets fouled.
Well, I mean, both these teams have run hot and cold all year. It's why Virginia Tech's 6-12 in the league and Clemson's 9-9. You know, I think when you're that reliant on making threes, and they are both volume three-point shooting teams, it can be hard to find a level of consistency. And, you know, so much of what Clemson does goes through Amir Sims. Almost everything they do goes through him, and he's off to a bit of a slow start outside of the three he opened with. Wilkins
left alone. He'll shoot the three and knock it down. First time we've seen Isaiah Wilkins tonight. Well, if you can't shoot from outside, just get it to the big fella, Trey Jemison, the 7-footer, and let him throw it down.
And he's given them good minutes of late. It has allowed Brad Brownell to spell Amir Sims, give him a break. Can't teach that size on Jemison.
Cone now doubled. Here's Wilkins. Beline trying to drive on Newman, does with the left, wildly on the layup though, off target. Trap from the elbow, gets it in the corner. And Hemingway can't finish. The battle for that offensive rebound. Off of Couture. And we're going to get a call here against Virginia Tech.
Hunter Tyson, another guy off of Clemson's bench who has played really well of late. Was in double figures in their game against Georgia Tech and BC, and there just corrals the offensive rebound, buys an extra possession for Clemson.
Eight to shoot for Clemson, all the way in the corner for Hunter Tyson. He's going to drive, now gets caught. Three from their best shooter, Hemingway, and he knocks it down. 49% is Hemingway off the bench shooting threes. A little bit of contact, Beatty goes through it. Nice move.
He is such a strong driver. He is so strong, so well built that when he gets an angle, you could say goodnight. He is going right to the rack. He's so tough to keep in front.
Hemingway again gets himself open, coming off a screen, and gets the bounce.
Goodness. So they've banked one in, and then they got the 5-touch drop right there.
On the road, too. They're 5 of 10 shooting threes. That's what helped them forge this lead. Now it's up to 5. Horn driving, ooh, and he gets fouled hard.
Now that's a confrontation from both guys. P.J. Horn going to flush it, and Tyson coming over to contrast.
I mean, Duke, Louisville, Florida State last Saturday, and not terrible losses, Chris. When you look at those losses, there's really nothing bad about that. Just not enough good wins, not enough.
They didn't make use of the non-conference. And now part of that is they've had a ton of injuries. I mean, they have dealt with injuries all year. They finally got Clyde Trapp back. And there's enough talent. Now, some of these guys, again, they're also young in their backcourt. So as John Newman, who's a real X factor for them, as Alamir Dawes, as those guys have gotten better and more comfortable, they've, as a team, have gotten better.
They've won 4 out of 5, as we mentioned off the top. So playing really well right now as the season comes to a close for them. And they'll, of course, look forward to hoping to make a big run in the NIT. Horn makes 1 of 2. The lead is down to 4. Time on the drive, Kern Scott off the bench gets his pocket picked.
Virginia Tech is so good at that. Ratting at the ball, they have quick hands. They get so many steals just off of knocking it out of hands on guys who are driving.
Horn for 3, nothing but net. Scott for 3. Too far. Wilkins with the board. Beatty 5th in the country in assisted turnover ratio. He takes care of the ball and he finds his players, but Radford turns it over. 5 turnovers now on the game so far for Virginia Tech. They're a team that doesn't turn it over very often. Clemson gives it back. Here comes Cohn. Scott with the foul, and they're not going to count the basket. They'll say on the court.
Another turnover leading to potential for offense, and I like to call that was on the floor. Hell of a finish, though. Yeah, it's going to be hard to drive on either of these teams, but particularly Virginia Tech, because they're so gapped up. Both these teams pack it in. They want you to fire away from three-point range, so to try to get in there, it's going to be tough. Those guards are so good at poking at the ball.
Jalen Cohen, he's a 50% three-point shooter, too, and we saw him earlier in the year at Syracuse introduce himself to the country. with 5 threes and 2 4-point plays in that game, but he was a little strong on that attempt. Officials talking this whistle over. Mike Young wants a little explanation. It'll be a travel against Clemson. 6 turnovers for the Tigers early.
They're not going to survive turning the ball over at this rate.
Coach Bunnell can't believe it. He says no way. The officials say it's the way it is. 1-point advantage for Clemson. Beatty trying to get it to Cohn in position to shoot. Offensive foul, though, on that screen. Wilkins first. Streaky seasons for both these teams, and streaky game for both these teams here today, too, as far as offensively. Mack creates a little bit of space and hits the jumper.
What a story he is. Started at Texas. He's from South Carolina. Ended up going to, he committed to Shaka Smart at VCU. Shaka goes to Texas. Tevin Mack ends up going to Texas. Leaves there. Goes to Alabama. And then ends up here at Clemson. He's having a really good year. Nice kick out again. There, Virginia Tech's going to try to cut off the drive. So 2 schools, 4 seasons for Tevin Mack, some growing up, and then he ends up here at Clemson. And what a season he's having.
Bodies colliding on the other side. Ends up being yet another offensive foul against Virginia Tech. As Mack misses that shot, here come the Hokies. Ojiako got called the last time down for the Hokies. Wilkins drives on Mack. Nice finish. Wilkins has 5. Dawes for 3. No good. Another board for Wilkins. Dawes has gotten off to a slow start offensively. Wilkins now for 3. Just too strong. Newman going to use a screen. They leave him open. Now Sims gets open for 3. He misses. Tried to get it back to Ojiako, and no one was home. Rare turnover from the Virginia Tech point guard. Hokies trailing by 1. 7:42 left in this first.
Over at a high rate to start this game.
Both teams are, when you think about it. Virginia Tech as well. They come into this game, 4th in the country in fewest turnovers committed at under 10 per game. They had 16 over the weekend against Louisville, and they have 8 already here tonight. So a rarity for this Hokie team, even though they've struggled with wins and losses here, winning just 1 in their last 10 games, they've at least taken care of the basketball, and we'll get another turnover here, an offensive foul on Clemson. Dawes picks up his second. You can see him going to have a seat on that Clemson bench, and you can also see Brad Brunell showing his displeasure with that call and having to take his freshman star guard off the court. Radford looking to drive. He gets shut down by Sims. Nolly off the pick. He'll drive baseline. Newman comes out to help. 5 to shoot for Virginia Tech. Beatty's going to have to drive himself up off the glass and gets it to go.
I'm telling you, when he turns that corner, he gives himself the angle. And what a finish that was over length.
First lead of the night for the Hokies. Trap now using that Sims pick. Cohn gets through it. Almost gets the steal. Extra pass. Mack, too strong. Nolly's going to look to drive on Sims. Tough shot. Radford gets the rebound. He puts it back. "10-2 run for Virginia Tech, and Brad Runnell wants to talk things over. Hokies with their first lead of the night. It's 3 points.
So Beatty's just driving Amir Sims, who is mobile for 6'8", but not mobile enough to stay in front of Beatty. And the last possession, too, Landers Nolly driving. Clemson content to switch that high pick and roll, having a hard time staying in front of the ball. And Wabisa Beatty is a quintessential Mike Young point guard. He's tough. He doesn't turn it over. He's high assists. He's his best leader.
Trap open for three. Too strong. Clemson is gone just ice cold now.
Silly fouls.
And this is a guy, Amir Sims, who's, you know, one of the upperclassmen for this team, a junior. You don't expect that from all these freshmen that are on the court, don't you?
And that's his second foul. I mean, that's just silly for a junior, like you're saying, Chris, to foul in the full court nonsensically. I mean, just, it's not a smart play.
Dawes with 2 fouls on the bench. Sims now with 2 fouls on the bench for Clemson.
And you allow Virginia Tech to just walk to the foul line and take 2 free throws.
Couture is a 65% free throw shooter, knocks down the first, extending this lead to 4. Misses the second. Just 4 of their last 18 field goal attempts. Make it 4 of 19. Beatty tried to get it to Horn. Ball was tipped. Here come the Tigers. .15 to shoot for Clemson. Newman strong and the foul.
And strong to his left. He is a left-handed player, and he is a much stronger driver going to his left hand. Tell you, he was so good in that game against Florida State, and he is the X factor for them. When he scores, they typically play well.
John Newman III, the cousin of Johnny Newman. Familiar with him with Charlotte, some other teams in the NBA. Completes the 3-point play. After Naheem Aline picked up his second foul here in the first half, and Mike Young is going to have Aline, his talented freshman from Buford, Georgia, have a seat. Both he and Brunell, with a couple of players with 2 fouls here in the first half, don't want him to pick up a cheapy third in the final few minutes. Nolly from 3, he hits. He had 30 in the opener against Clemson. His first college basketball game, he puts in 30 in a league game. Kayvon Moore, good opportunity to see number 21 off the bench. Clemson cannot make a bucket right now. They've gone over 7 minutes with just 2 field goals.
Nice.
Good look from Nolly. Horn can't hit. Crowd here wanted a goaltending, or at least a call. They get neither. Here's Kayvon Moore, way off. Beatty just head up, trying to get that ball to Jalen Cone for 3. Instead, it's Couture. He misses.
Like, Cone draws so much attention. I mean, the entire Clemson defense followed Cone. That's why Couture was wide open.
Mack misses, and Beatty let it go out of bounds. It'll be out of bounds to Virginia Tech.
Like you said, Landers Nolley, 30 in the opener.
All right, looking forward to seeing Kelsey and the crew at halftime. Here with 3:22 remaining in this first half. Clemson team that is just 2 of 16 from the floor after a 3-3 start. And they're only down 4 points, so they're hanging in there despite not being able to make any shots. We'll get a call here on Landers Nolley, who makes the shot over the backboard, but it will not count.
Well, one of the things that's helped Clemson, even though they haven't shot it well, is they've gotten a lot of possessions, because Virginia Tech's turned it over 9 times. A team that only averages 9 turnovers a game has turned it over 9 times. We still have 3 minutes left in the first half.
A lot of offensive fouls in this game, a lot of disjointedness offensively. Part of that, I think, Chris, might be the fact that a couple of these, a little foul trouble, not major foul trouble, but Clemson has a couple of starters with 2. They've been on the bench now for Coach Brunell for a while, and Naheem Aline's been on the bench a little bit for Mike Young. Both these teams not afraid to go deep on the bench, though, so they play a lot. Both these coaches play a lot of players.
Well, both these teams are good at taking you out of what you want to run. Both these teams run a lot of sets. They force you to have to be playmakers and individual guys to have to make plays. And if the wrong guy has the ball, it's not going to look pretty.
Nolley hits both free throws. Lead is up to 6 for the Hokies. That's Virginia Tech's largest lead of the night. Moore, he'll drive. The length just can't quite get it to go. And Nolley with the rebound tries to get down court to Tyrese Radford, just a little bit out of his reach. Friday night, the Nothing But Net crew is going to be live from the ACC Women's Basketball Tournament inside Greensboro Coliseum. They'll wrap up the quarterfinal matchups, highlights, full breakdowns of each game, and then spin it forward to the conference semifinals. That's Friday night at 10 Eastern here on the ACC Network. Mack trying to solve Landers Nolley. Over to Trapp. Thought about the 3. Got the much shorter Cone on him. 5 to shoot. Moore is going to have to put it up, and it just rolls out. Nolley, shot fake. Drives, double team comes, he kicks it out.
Oh, good shot fake. Nice help. Nice help by John Newman.
Shot clock winding down, and Nolley's just going to have to fire it up, and he traveled before he got it off.
That was really good help, because the shot fake almost gave Nolley the angle to the basket, and John Newman came from the help side and just shut it down.
11 turnovers in the first half against Virginia Tech. I'll reiterate, they came into this game 4th in the country in fewest turnovers per game, and they've already exceeded their season average. Another offensive foul, this time against Clemson.
On screening. How many moving screens have we seen already? That's rhetorical. You don't have to give me a number.
My answer is it's been bizarre. That way I don't have to give you a number. Just tell you how extreme it has been. More on the guilty party this time around. And we started off both these teams shooting so hot the first 2 or 3 minutes of this game, and it's just been an offensive slugfest since then. Radford switches.
Nice change.
Got down low. Great finish and one.
This is big time right here. The change of direction on a dime. Look at this change of direction. Whoop! And then he gets to his left hand, which is his strong hand. What a finish. Look at that change of direction. And a good finish.
Anticipation of Moore's length. But couldn't finish the three-point play. 8-point lead now, once again, Virginia Tech's largest in this first half.
No Amir Sims, although he is at the scorer's table right now. Again, Clemson so reliant on him to run their offense.
Dawes is back in with 2 fouls. Hemingway, he's got to make that shot. If he's that open, Chris, gets it back and tries another one. This time he hits.
For whom the bell tolls.
Very good. Almost got through the first half before the reference.
When it tolls twice, it calls for thee, Mr. Hemingway.
Mike Young calling a timeout, talking to his junior point guard, Wabisa Beatty.
For the record, For Whom the Bell Tolls is my favorite Hemingway book.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's your favorite Metallica song.
No, we're talking about Ernest Hemingway. Follow the broadcast here,
And Metallica. It's one and the same. You know what I'm saying? Great artists.
Robert Jordan, one of the greatest literary characters, protagonists of all time. Please tell me more about Metallica, though. We're trying to...
I guess, sorry to my fellow Georgia Tech alumni. This is the Duke education versus the Georgia Tech education. And we didn't read books. We were too busy dealing with numbers. Speaking of numbers, 5 is the number that Virginia Tech is most concerned with right now, and Clemson. That's the deficit for the Tigers. 55, a couple of double nickels on the clock in this first half. Wilkins had a notion, didn't pull the trigger. Back to again, trying to get it to Horn, who's battling with Sims on the block. Sims has 2 fouls. Horn loses it temporarily. 5 to shoot for Virginia Tech. Aline's gonna have to put it up. Just bounces out. Sims with the board. Shot clock is off now for the Tigers. They can work for one final shot. Trying to get it to Sims. Beatty has a shot from half court. It's good if it goes. Off the backboard, no good. Spirited first half comes to a conclusion here in Blacksburg. Virginia Tech finished on a 14-6 run. Their lead is 5. Let's send it to the studios. Kelsey, Monica, Kelly with the halftime report after these messages. Against Clemson as Virginia Tech and Mike Young got off to a great start to their season. They were at one point in time 14-5 on the year, coming off a double overtime win against North Carolina. Since then, they've lost 9 of 10, trying to salvage something as the season comes to a close here. And a good crowd at Castle, trying to send them off on senior night with a win against Clemson, but they're going to have to come from behind to do it, down 5 as we start the second half. Nolly. That's a 3. That'll get him going.
You know, he stays aggressive. He's so good at coming off of that. We saw one in the first half where he just turns firing. He's almost shooting it as he's turning.
Newman. In and out. Sims battling for the rebound. And he'll be fouled.
When Nolly starts low, he's typically going to come high for one of those types of shots, just to pin down to get him free at the top of the key. And there are times where he can settle too many threes coming from him, but when he gets it going, he can really run hot.
P.J. Horn picking up his first foul of the night. Dawes has a couple. Had to sit for a few minutes in that first half. He's back, and he'll shoot for 3. Hits.
They need to get those guards going. They were the key to the Florida State win. He and John Newman both had 18 in that game.
Dawes hitting the game winner, too, as time expired to give Clemson that big win over the weekend at home. Beatty now coming off the screen. Definitely pass first kind of point guard. Only averages 5 points a game. Fantastic, though, taking care of the basketball. One of the top assist to turnover men in the country. Shot clock down to 4. Nolly's going to have to put it up. He's open. Just off the front of the rim. Inside to Sims.
Nice. P.J. Horn, nice job coming all the way over.
Aline challenged, but makes the bucket and one.
What a great defensive play. Look at P.J. Horn come over to build that wall. What great help, and it leads to a bucket on the other end. And Tyrese Radford, he's really led this offense for them here tonight for Virginia Tech.
10 points for Radford. Too strong on the free throw.
You know, so much we talk about being unselfish on the offensive end. That play by P.J. Horn was unselfish defense. Coming all the way over to help and make a play.
Trap for three. Misses, long rebound. Now in the corner to Newman. Tries to drive baseline, gets shut off. Jump ball, held ball situation.
And there's that guy again, P.J. Horn. Coming over to make a play. Doesn't allow the split and ties him up.
Possession arrow to Clemson. Tigers will retain. Off the inbound to Mack. Defense all up in his grill. Here's Trap. Gets trapped near the baseline. Nowhere to go. Finally to Sims. 5 to shoot for Clemson. Sims strong on the baseline. Up and under. His first field goal since hitting a 3 right off the tip. By Mack. Coast to coast.
The Euro. There's the Euro step.
And the lead is now down to 2 for the Hokies.
And another bad turnover.
Beatty on Doss. Good matchup. Nolly with shot fake, gets himself open, gets a better shot. He can't convert. Horn, though, with a great offensive rebound. Nolly will try it again. Call against Dawes. That's going to be number 3 on him.
His finish on the other end, other side of the basket by Amir Sims. And then a bad turnover by Virginia Tech, leading to the Euro step on the other end by Tevin Mack. You know, Amir Sims, to me, the ACC's got its most improved player. To me, Amir Sims is the ACC's most improved player. He is night and day from where he was last year, and even from the beginning of this season, he has become significantly better. What a year he's had.
Brad Brownell needed him to be that type of a player. His team lost 4 out of 5 starters from a really talented but upperclassman-laden team last year. Way off the mark. Trap. Students got free bucket hats tonight. They were here early and loud. Can't pass on that opportunity. Here you see Amir Sims' numbers.
And he was his best in their biggest wins.
Ollie down low. Short, looking for the call, but he won't get it. Extra pass from Newman to Mack for 3.
Good offense. Good early offense. And you said it, Chris, a good extra pass.
10 points for Mack now. Clemson retakes the lead.
In a zone here. First sign of zone from Clemson.
Radford. He's got 12 on the night. Real spark plug for this Virginia Tech team. Trap trying to get in the corner. Now Newman. Shot fake, gets to the rack and finishes.
You get the defense in scramble, and these guards are so good at breaking it down off the dribble.
Both teams now back and forth, sharing the lead. Horn for three. He knocks it down.
It's hard to tell if Clemson was still in a zone there. The one thing I do know, they weren't talking. I mean, he was wide open in the corner, and nobody had responsibility.
Now in the corner to Trap. Tries to quiet this fan student section here as they were chanting air ball to him, and he gets nothing but net on that three.
And then told him to quiet down.
I don't think they'll listen. Clemson now back on top. Horn wide open, finishes through contact.
It's amazing how often the screener is the one who's open. P.J. Horn, a screener on that play, showed himself back to the ball in a great pass.
Now Mack, step back. Oh, come on. That was beautiful. 12 for Mack. Cone again trying to get free. Smallest guy on the court. He does get free. Can he knock it down? He does!
They have run that floppy action all night. It's basically screeners on the blocks, and Horn or Cone can just kind of run back and forth. And it's up to him which side he wants to pop out. A nice flare off of that screen, and he nails it.
Nolly with the rebound. Cone now running the point with Beatty catching a couple of minutes rest. Here we go again. Watch 15 coming off screens. That time Newman, quick hands. Almost got the steal. 5 to shoot for Virginia Tech. Little revenge.
Well, Duke got a little bit healthy with that win over NC State the other day,
yeah.
But they had not been playing well.
Can you think about the top of the ACC? I mean, as Tyrese Radford is trying to complete this three-point play and does not, they've all shown warts, right? They've all had opportunities to sort of say, okay, now we're going to take over, and they haven't. Not even close. Dawes with the miss. That's 28 attempts from beyond the arc tonight for Clemson. Season high of 34 is within reach.
They're going to get there.
Maybe before our next TV timeout. Here's Cone. Just doesn't have enough room with Dawes in his face. But 4 to shoot, he's going to have to put one up. He does. Short. Sims with the rebound.
I don't know if he wears a Fitbit or not, but he logs a lot of steps running that action on the baseline.
Mack trying to get into Sims. Now Dawes will feed it to Sims. He makes his turn on the baseline. Cut off, though, nicely by Radford. Now he's in trouble and turns it over. 2-on-1. Nice pass to Couture. Crowd back on their feet at Castle. Dawes trying to quiet him. Mack with a deep three-pointer. Rims in and out. Radford with the board.
It's not the shot you wanted.
Beatty's been on the bench for a few minutes now for Mike Young. He's given him an extended rest period before we get under a 12 timeout. Couture for three. Brad Bunnell is not going to wait for that TV timeout. He's got to take one right now to stem
down.
Largest lead of the night for Virginia Tech. It's 9. Dawes gets inside of Cone, back out to Scott. He's in a little bit of trouble. Over to Tyson. Too strong on the mid-range. Hokies on a 10-0 run here in Blacksburg. Radford's had a big night, 14-5-3 so far for the redshirt freshman. Wilkins back to Radford. He's running the show now. Cone gets open and knocks down the three.
The Energizer Bunny just never stops.
Scott trying to quiet the crowd, just rims out, but Tyson is there, blocked by Ogiaco, but they're going to get the call.
Jalen Cone is running a marathon in this game, and he is wearing out his defender. My goodness, what a job he's done. Always ready to shoot it.
Quiet has Virginia been in terms of getting to 13-5 and joining those other three, Chris, kind of the second half of the conference slate.
They've won 6 straight, 9 of their last 10. They deserve to be in the top 25 now. It's a remarkable turnaround. I mean, to think that they're at that record is crazy from where they started.
Virginia will be at Miami next. Steve Schlanger and Dan Bonner down in Coral Gables going to bring you that game. We got a lot of basketball still to go here, and Virginia Tech, losers of 9 of their last 10, trying to send all the seniors on this team home with a win. Tyson misses the first free throw. Student section going bananas, because if he misses this free throw, it's free bacon from Smithfield for everybody in the house. Tyson quiets the crowd. I don't even think Red Panda got the place going that loud.
Clemson decided to pick up here, and it's a good move by Brad Brownell. They've got to change something in this game. And back to a 2-3 zone. It begins with getting stops.
And Beatty back in for Virginia Tech. He got an extensive break. He'll be fresh down the stretch. Wilkins for 3, knocks it down. Newman just crashing into bodies in the lane. He'll get fouled.
Well, they got to start driving the ball. Clemson's in some trouble here. I mean, because they can't get stops, but the big problem, too, is, I mean, they're the zone, just slow to react. And zone is not what Clemson does. Brad Brownell trying to find something. They've had to work so hard on the offensive end to try to find a good shot, and they have not had a good shot over the last 3 to 4 minutes.
John Newman hits the first. Misses the second. Couture with the rebound. Beatty tries to get it up court to Wilkins.
And Clemson's missing free throws.
Couture working the offense inside to Wilkins. Got caught in the air. Back out to Beatty now. 7 to shoot for the Virginia Tech. Couture's going to have to put up a 3. And that goes down. Everything going down for the Hokies. Tyson fouled as he cut to the basket.
Everybody feeling it. Couture's winking at people. And the zone is not going to be the solution, because this is what Virginia Tech wants to do. I mean, they shoot a lot of threes, and you're going to get open threes in that 2-3 zone. The problem is Virginia Tech was carving up the man-to-man, whether it's Jalen Cone running his floppy action, dribble penetration is just dicing up that Clemson man-to-man defense.
Hokies 10 of 19 from beyond the arc on the night. Scott for 3, way short.
I mean, just bad shots.
They got a break, last touch by the Hokies. It'll stay with Clemson. Fresh 20 to shoot. Sims will get a little bit of a break here for Clemson. I imagine that'll be a little bit of a break, Chris. Down 16. Jemison will give him a couple of minutes, but I got to imagine he's got to get right back in there. Here's Dawes. Tyson, nothing doing. Newman just physical to get into the paint. Olean's third foul on the night. I'm impressed with John Newman tonight. He can shoot the ball, he can take it off the bounce, get it inside the paint. Tyson will be open for three. Can't get it to go. Clemson just cannot make shots. Horn for three, too strong. Tyson after the switch. Short, way short, crashing for the rebound, gets it himself. And a block against Beatty. And both these teams, Virginia Tech and Clemson, need to win the ACC tournament in order to go to the big dance, but you can get hot.
Yes, you can.
As we've seen, and we just talked about a few moments ago, those top four teams have been vulnerable at times this year. It's not a foolproof guarantee that those four will be in the ACC semifinals this year in Greensboro.
Well, that's in every one of those conferences that was listed.
Yeah.
Outside of the Big 12, where I think there's the two definitive teams that are head and shoulders above everybody else in Kansas and Baylor. All those other conferences, I think you're going to see a lot of crazy things happen.
It's going to be a wild March. Really looking forward to it. Could be a wild 7-18 remaining here, and Clemson hopes it is. Down 13 now to a Virginia Tech team that has been hot shooting the basketball here in the second half. 6 of 10 from beyond the arc, 67 overall. Horn looks to continue that trend and does. Dawes has been so silent offensively, Chris. 3 points in this game for Clemson. We'll get a call. It'll be side out. It'll be against Virginia Tech, against Couture.
When it rains, it pours. And we've seen that action where the penetration, you get that little Euro pitch back when the defense sucks in. And they got a lot of different guys making threes right now. Now, your point about Dawes is a good one. Like, Clemson needs Dawes to score, they need Amir Sims to score, and they need John Newman to score. And I get the sense Brad Brownell is not really happy right now with Amir Sims. John Newman's on the bench. And credit Virginia Tech's defense. They have made life so difficult for Clemson finding a good shot.
And Dawes has just 3 points on 1 of 6 shooting on the night. Clemson in the bonus, but missing the front end of the one-on-one. Too many turnovers, too many offensive fouls as a part of those turnovers on the night, Chris. And they're missing too many free throws. Can't get back into the game if you're missing from the charity stripe. Cone short from 3. Scott for 3. Just off the mark. Not even close. Cone now trying to get it to Couture, who's running that floppy action. Nothing doing that time around. Trapp will look to push. Dawes for 3. Air ball. That attempt now ties a season high. 34 attempts for Clemson. They've only hit 9 of them. Lazy pass. Tyson finishes with the jam. Hokies break the pressure.
As well as Virginia Tech has played, that has been the one fly in the ointment tonight, is they've turned it over uncharacteristically, and some lazy ones.
Couture too strong on the three. Dawes got a caught on his hip. Cohn will get called for the foul.
And Brad Brownell going to get 3 of his offensive weapons back into the game.
Wholesale changes for Brownell. 4 players coming in.
That's why I say I don't think he was happy with that collective and wanted to send a message there. And now, you know, look, you got 4:50 left. It's certainly still within reach here. I mean, they're only down 14, and with the way they can score at times, they can score in bunches. You're not out of this game, but like, you got to make free throws. I mean, it starts with making the easy ones.
In the front ends, too. Dawes makes the front end of this 1-and-1. Lead is 13. Clemson has missed their last 9 3-point attempts. Dawes hits both of them. Alex Hemingway is a man that can change all that. He's their best shooter from distance. And obviously, Brad Brownell thinks they're going to have to get him involved. We'll get a call on the inbounds. And right away, Hemingway gets called for the foul. Just the 14th foul on Clemson here in the second half. 3 personally on Hemingway. A little trap in the corner. Aline's in trouble here. Gets it to Wilkins.
Smart decision by Radford.
He's really played well tonight for Virginia Tech. Beatty now back in the game for the Hokies. Beatty with 4 to shoot. He's going to have to drive. Opts to pass it out to Horn in the corner. Knocks down the 3.
And there it is again, just playing behind the penetration. That Euro pitch back.
%50 as a team shooting threes tonight are the Hokies. 12 of 24 trap. Got Beatty up in the air and drew the foul.
Seen this all night.
Coming up versus Miami at 9. Now we'll get you back out to Chris Cotter and Spatola.
Thank you, Kelsey. Here's Virginia in their resume, playing Miami coming up next. One of the hotter teams, certainly in the conference. When you talk about as much as they struggled in the first half, trying to find themselves. Last couple of years, they lost a lot of players. Last year's, you know, you think about the job they did last year, coming off of that 1-16 defeat in the NCAA tournament the year before. Admirable, Chris. But a lot of the offense, especially, lost from last year's team.
Well, they've started to look like Virginia. And part of that is you had Kihei Clark, Mamadi Diakite, who went from bit players to now you're at the top of the scouting report. It's just a different world. It was going to take time. I think a lot of us underestimated the loss of those 3 guys who were draft picks. Jack Salt was a big part of that run they had.
And now peaking just at the right time as championship week is just around the corner. Trap hits a couple for Clemson. Cutting that deficit now to 13. Pressure here from the Tigers. Beatty and Radford now trying to get it above the timeline, and they do. Just. Radford short on the 3. Way short. Knocked out of bounds to Virginia Tech. Just out of sorts all night long, Clemson has been.
Well, there, you know, it's an okay shot by Clyde Trapp. You got to shoot it like you mean it. He almost was like unsure of himself. At this point, put it up there like you mean it.
Good look to Radford. He finishes on the break. 16 for Radford. Matt can't get the bounce. Look at Radford Sky for the board. I smell a Zaxby's player of the game. I won't say it's official yet because it isn't.
Well, you just smell fried chicken all the time.
I have. I smelled the Smithfield bacon earlier. I smelled the Zaxby's fried chicken. Literary references may not be my strong point, but salted meats.
It's your specialty?
Yep, can't question me there. Radford, he'll be fouled.
The only hope for Clemson was to try to induce some turnovers off the press. Watch the dime here. Beatty to Radford running. And there's the connection.
Here it is, our Zaxby's player of the game. It is now official. The truck tells me.
You sniffed it out.
Tyrese Radford, the redshirt freshman from Baton Rouge, is our Zaxby's player of the game. We got 7 of 8 from the floor, 6 rebounds, contributing with a few dimes. Nice look to Horn, who finishes.
Horn's been pretty good too tonight. They've been good all across the board.
Mike Young calls a timeout. His team up 17 in the final 2.5 here.
Again, the screener is the guy who's open, and there's just no communication by the Clemson defense. 2 guys go with the shooter coming off, and the slip by Horn, and we've seen that multiple times tonight from Virginia Tech.
I talked to Brad Brunell earlier today at shoot-around, and I just asked him about his team coming off that amazing win at home against Florida State, Chris, and he had been on a high over the last few days. And the first thing he said was, yeah, but if you don't come to play on the road here in the ACC, top to bottom, you may not have 7, 8 teams battling for spots in the ACC or in the NCAA tournament, but if North Carolina is going to be last place in your conference, you better come to play on the road every night.
Oh, and here's the other thing, all right? That was a magnificent win over Florida State. It was a last-second shot. The court was stormed. And I'm sure guys went out, celebrated on Saturday night.
Club Esso, maybe.
Now you got to turn around
places.
and play a team that's 6-12 in the conference. And look, these are young people, and this is not football where you're playing 1 game a week. Like, there's 30 games in a season. You got to turn around and do this thing again on a Wednesday after a massive win on a Saturday. And that's where the good teams, the great teams separate from the marginal teams. And Clemson is just not there yet.
2.5 to go. Largest lead of the night for Virginia Tech at 17. And Brad Brunell going to his bench here at the end of this game. Jemison with the stuff.
Well, Mike Young going to his bench, bringing his, on senior day, bringing his lone senior into the game. Students love it.
Brandon Johnson, who's a graduate student. Beatty. Horn just rolls that one out. McBride with the rebound for the Clemson Tigers. Timeout for Brad Brunell as he'll look to get some players in the game. That cheer you hear from the crowd. Number 24, you see him, Brandon Johnson, getting some time for the Hokies. That is a nice ovation. They're also probably cheering the fact that they only have 1 senior on this team, which bodes really well for Mike Young in the future. Tyson, shot fake, knocks down the jumper.
I mean, it's a 13-point game, 1.5 minutes left. We went to the subs. A lot of time left.
To your point earlier, Chris, especially the way that Clemson usually shoots the 3. Not tonight, though. They have been off the mark. Nolly with 10 to shoot. Turnover on the night. Brendan Palmer getting a few minutes for Coach Young. Number 11 for Clemson. Parker Fox, Mark Fox's son, head coach at Cal, formerly at Georgia. Nolly with the steal. Final minute here from Blacksburg. Hokies content to let that shot clock run down. Couture tried to get it inside the Johnson, takes the shot, air ball.
You gotta love it. Mike Young trying to get his senior a bucket here on senior night. Running a play for him.
Blocked. Johnson, he'll get in the score sheet, but it'll be for a foul. Not the way he hoped on his last game here in Blacksburg. Crowd's behind him, though.
They want 2 misses.
Yeah, Paul Grindy, big fella. He ain't gonna give it to him. Grindy's like, the only one eating bacon here tonight is me. In and out on the second. Couture content to let the clock run out. And the Hokies' 4-game losing streak will come to an end in their final home game here at Castle Coliseum of the season. Horn sounds, Mike Young and the Hokies